little consequence. I will promise you this, though. If later in the day the 125s decide to jump that triple jump, Guy Cooper's going to be one of the first to do it. He certainly is one of the better jumpers and certainly the most stylish jumpers in the 125cc class. 125cc first moto about set to get underway. In fact, there goes the gate, and we are racing in the first of 2 points-paying 125 motos. Now, don't forget, a moto is a race. So these riders will be racing in 2 motos today to earn points toward the National Championship Series. The points are combined at the end of the day to determine who is the overall winner. One further note, points earned in both the first and second motos will count toward the championship, as well as determining who is the champ for the day. Meanwhile, out front from Highland, California, is Team Yamaha's Jeff Emig, rider number 8. At the start of the season, Emig was expected to figure in this championship chase, but a 6th overall at Gainesville, a 7th overall at Southwick, the second round of the series, and an 11th overall at High Point Raceway in Pennsylvania. That was round 3 of the series. Kind of dimmed his chances, and I think that the enthusiasts of motocross were beginning to wonder what was wrong with Emig. Well, he rebounded a week ago at Hangtown. He finished 2nd overall, had moto finishes of 3rd and 2nd, so maybe he has started that role that in the early season was predicted by many enthusiasts. Emig, still on the opening lap, is starting to pull away from the rest of the field. Now, Jeff DeMint, a Texas rider, a youngster on a Suzuki, is running in the number 2 position. He's quite a ways off the pace already. There you see DeMint. Right behind him now is Guy Cooper. Cooper has passed a couple of riders already on this opening lap to take over that number 3 position. Now, Mike LaRocco, easily the favorite to take the win here at Red Bud, is well back in the field. LaRocco got a horrible start, so he's going to spend his afternoon, or at least during this first moto, he's going to spend the first part of it working up through the pack to get as many points as he possibly can. Meanwhile, out front, Jeff Emig has one goal in mind: put as much distance between himself and the rest of the field in these early laps as he possibly can. There's the gap between 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. Jeff DeMint still holding 2nd. He's on the inside. Here comes Cooper. Cooper looking for some kind of running room around the outside. He did not have the advantage of that groove to work with. He dropped back into the number 3 position. That's where he's been for the last several corners. Now Cooper gets the good line on the inside portion of the track. He takes over the number 2 slot. And as the riders disappear from our view, running around the outside was Tyson Volan. Volan has moved into 3rd, so DeMint, with a bad couple of corners, drops from 2nd all the way back to the number 4 position. Meanwhile, Jeff Emig, with that huge lead, continues to try to increase it. He has not let up one bit. At this point in time, Guy Cooper has 2 options. One, he could try to catch the fleeing Jeff Emig, and that could prove to be a problem because Emig is going awfully fast at this particular point in time, and Cooper may not have enough time left in this moto to get the job done. And if he tries to catch Emig, he's going to have to let it all hang out. Could be riding right on the edge of disaster throughout the moto. That could create some problems. My guess is Cooper is going to try to hold on to the number 2 position. That would be his second option. He'll try to stay ahead of Volan. There's Volan running in 3rd. Buddy Antunez now has moved to the number 4 slot, dropping DeMint back to 5th. You had just a quick flash of green in your screen. That was Ryan Hughes. He's currently running in the number 6 position. Emig could care less about any of that. He is really picking them up and laying them down here in the opening moto, while Cooper is getting all kinds of pressure from Volan. Now, here is that battle for the number 2 position. Coop out front, Volan running in the number 2 position. Now Volan going to the inside. Will he get the job done? They're side by side. Cooper with a big handful of throttle. They disappear from our view, and they're still side by side as they make that corner and come back around the track. Look at this battle for the number 2 position. Guy Cooper and Tyson Volan, rather, going at it, and now Volan has made the pass. So Volan has taken over the number 2 position. Cooper drops back to 3rd. There's Buddy Antunez riding in the number 4 slot. Now Cooper has more on his mind than trying to catch Jeff Emig. His immediate concern would have to be whether or not he can repass Tyson Volan to regain the number 2 position. Meanwhile, Jeff Emig continues to pull away from the rest of the field. It's Emig, Tyson Volan, Guy Cooper, Buddy Antunez, Ryan Hughes in that order, with this race starting to wind down. We're just past the midway point in moto number 1 of the 125cc class. Now, Volan really does not have much of an opportunity at this time to catch Emig. He's concerned, of course, with Guy Cooper running in the number 3 position, and Volan is going to do what he can to block Cooper, to keep Cooper behind him. So he's concerned about the lines on the racetrack more than he is concerned about letting it hang out and going as fast as he possibly can. So unless Emig, who is way out front, makes some kind of a mistake in the final laps of the opening moto, you can hand this one to the Highland, California Team Yamaha rider. So Emig has been on a roll the last couple of weeks, and looks like he's going to increase that roll, at least through the first couple of laps here in Red Bud, or at Red Bud, I should say, in Buchanan, Michigan. The battle still rages for the number 2 position. Let's go back in the pack. Here's Ryan Hughes now, moving on Buddy Antunez, and Hughes has just made that pass, so Hughes moves up one more spot into the number 4 position. Jeff Emig's best moto finish of the season coming at Hangtown 1 week ago, when he finished second in the second of 2 motos. Tyson Volan continues to hold down the number 2 position. Guy Cooper still running in 3rd, and Buddy Antunez has regained the number 4 slot away from Ryan Hughes. So that battle continues to rage from one end of the track to the other. Out front, no battle at all. Jeff Emig has led since the opening lap. Now, Emig has never won a national championship event. Could be on his way here today. Here's the battle for the number 2 and 3 positions. Volan in 2nd, Guy Cooper running 3rd. Coming up now, 4th place, and once again, Ryan Hughes has taken over that position. There's Buddy Antunez back in 5th. Brian Swink is running 6th, and Mike LaRocco from the back of the pack, a terrible start, has moved all the way up to the number 7 position. And look at that stuff. LaRocco takes over 6th from Swink. I was just starting to explain that those 2 riders, Swink from Fenton, Michigan, and LaRocco, who's from nearby South Bend, Indiana area, those 2 riders easily the crowd favorites here at Red Bud Track and Trail. One living just a few miles away, even though he does come from out of state, and the other, of course, being a native Michigander. Those 2 guys having the cheers of the crowd, and of the 2, Mike LaRocco getting the best in their personal battle to see who comes out on top as he continues his charge toward the front of the pack. Last couple of laps, and as the riders disappear from view, it looked like Cooper may have made the pass on Tyson Volan. We'll have to wait till they come up over the top. Emig has gone through. Now, this is a lapped rider. Let's see who comes up. And it's Guy Cooper. And look at this, running in a number 3 position. He has really made up the ground, is Mike LaRocco. So Guy Cooper, who had to deal with Talon Volan in the early going, now in the late stages has to deal with the likes of Mike LaRocco. Here's the leaderboard. We'll be back with a finish right after this. Welcome back. I'm Larry Myers. You're watching National Championship Motocross. This is the conclusion of the opening round of the 125cc class. The last lap, as a matter of fact. Now, Jeff Emig, the rider we just showed you, has led since the outset, while Guy Cooper, rider number 5, has been in and out of the number 2 position all day long, earlier having to fight with Tyson Volan, and now having to contend with Mike LaRocco, rider number 7, aboard the green Kawasaki, who is running 3rd. LaRocco suffering a terrible start. Now, he is the points leader in this 125cc championship chase, but he's going to lose a few points today to Jeff Emig, who is easily going to take the win. And Emig has been the strongest rider as of late. The last couple of races coming up very, very strong. Emig takes a checkered flag. We'll see how that will affect his performance the rest of the day. Now, the 2 riders in the battle for second, on the left side of your screen, Guy Cooper, and on the right, Mike LaRocco, coming on strong in the latter stages, but not able to catch Emig. Hughes will finish 4th. Brian Swink was 5th. Dropping down a notch to 6th would be Volan, who earlier in the moto gave Guy Cooper fits. Now, the 125 still crossing the finish line, but taking a parade lap, a farewell lap, if you will. Rider number 6 is Jeff Ward. He's hanging it up at the end of this season. What a great champion he's been. The only rider to have ever won here in the 125, 250, and 500cc classes. Now, that's Mike Kudrowski. He won here in 1991 aboard a 125.
This is your first year up in the 250 class, of course, defending 125 national champion. What's your experience been like so far in the 250?
Pretty good. I've been running up there top 3, top 2, and top 4. So yeah, I'm looking for that first win, first moto win. I think that's going to give me a lot of confidence, and I think that's what it takes. It's just like riding the 125 class. Once you win a national, then you know you can win. You just keep on going. So I'm looking for the first one, and today I feel real good. I'm in perfect shape. I'm ready for this race. My Kawasaki's are running great, so there's no reason why I can't today.
Well, when we return, we'll find out if Mike Kiedrowski can. Stay with us. Welcome back to Buchanan, Michigan National Championship Motocross here at Red Bud Track and Trail. This is the opening moto in the 250 class. Now, if you've just joined us, we have already watched the opener in the 125 class. Great action there. We're looking for more of the same here in the 250s. The center of the racetrack is where all of the talent is lined up. We saw Jeff Stanton, rider number 2, Damon Bradshaw, rider number 4, Mike Kiedrowski, rider number 3 was there. And coming out of the center of that track, look at this. They knew where to go, didn't they? It was Jeff Stanton taking the number 1 position right out of the gate. He's followed closely by Damon Bradshaw, who is holding down the number 2 slot. Then there are a pair of Kawasaki's, Jeff Matasevich, rider number 9, Mike Kiedrowski, rider number 3, holding down 3rd and 4th position. The eyes of the crowd, though, up front. Here comes Bradshaw to the inside, and Bradshaw makes the pass. Damon Bradshaw wasting no time and taking over the number 1 position. Normally, you would expect a rider to maybe follow for a lap or 2. Study the lines of the guy in front of you. When you've got a whole moto to do that, normally a rider will do exactly that, but not this time. Bradshaw went to work early. He wants the lead, perhaps remembering what happened to him 1 week ago at Hangtown when he let Jeff Stanton by in the second moto, decided he wanted to follow Stanton, but Stanton proved to be too much for Bradshaw, and Stanton went on to take the moto win. So Bradshaw not wasting any time. Stanton dropping back to 2nd. It's still Matasevich, Kiedrowski 3rd and 4th, and running in the number 5 slot, it was Michael Craig. Now, Jeff Stanton from nearby Sherwood, Michigan, has done a lot of racing on this Red Bud Track and Trail racetrack. Cut his eye teeth here, winning many national championships, and throughout his career, this was a regular Sunday stop for the Team Honda rider. Now, since that time, since turning pro, Stanton has garnered several national championships, 2 times in the 250 class, 2 times in the Supercross class, and he's looking to add 1 more in this 250 class in 1992. Obviously, Stanton is the crowd favorite here at Buchanan, Michigan, but right now he has all that he can handle in Damon Bradshaw, who is leading in the opening laps of moto number 1. There's the difference between the 2 riders. We look back to the number 3. There he is, Jeff Matasevich, and you just got a quick glimpse of Mike Kiedrowski streaking across in the number 4 slot. So Stanton picking up the pace just slightly at the close of that opening lap and trying to gain some ground on Bradshaw. It appears that on this treacherous racetrack, one rider might have the advantage over one section, and then the next section rolls around, and the other rider might feel more comfortable or at home because they are pulling close to each other, then spreading back apart. Here you see again, now Stanton is starting to close on Bradshaw. Now, this is the area in which Bradshaw passed Stanton, so you wouldn't think that Stanton was quite as good through that section as Bradshaw, but that's not the case at all, at least on that last go-around. Stanton proved to be the faster of the 2 as he has closed the gap between the 2 of them, still in the early going. Moto number 1 in this 250cc class. Now, we should point out that the championship chase in the 250 class is boiling down to the last couple of races. We've gone through 4. This is round number 5 as we watch Matasevich and Kiedrowski do battle for that number 3 position. This is round number 5, and it is a 6-race series. Now, coming into this Buchanan event, Jeff Stanton had a 12-point margin over Damon Bradshaw. Now, the way it works out in scoring, you win a moto, you get 25 points. You take second place, you get 22 points. So there is a difference there of 3. So let's just play the devil's advocate and say that Bradshaw wins both motos today. Stanton wins a pair of second places. That means Bradshaw will pick up 6 points. If he does the same in the season finale, that would be a total of 12, and they would end the season actually tied in points. Now, in that case, the rider that won the most overall events would be declared the champion, and at that point, that would be Damon Bradshaw. So Bradshaw has everything to gain by taking the lead, by trying to win every moto from here on out. Jeff Stanton, on the other hand, needs to follow, needs to collect his thoughts. He needs to be more methodical about this championship chase, not try necessarily to win every moto, but to stay with Damon Bradshaw and beat him at least once between now and the end of the season. That has to be what Stanton started out to do as this moto got underway, this opening moto in the 250 class. But once on the racetrack, well, what do they say about the best laid plans of mice and men? They often go astray. Well, when you're a racer, a lot of things go astray, because when you're on the track, the only thing you think about is the checkered flag. Forget about the fact that you need the points, that you need a second here, a third there, whatever it might be. A racer is a racer is a racer, and they go for the win and the checkered flag every time around. Right now, Stanton letting it all hang out. He's again close to within just a bike length or two of Damon Bradshaw. The crowd senses this intense battle taking place. They're running from one side of the track to the other. This Red Bud track has a lot of elevation changes. There goes Stanton to the outside, and Jeff Stanton got a good drive around the outside of that corner. He has taken over the #1 position. The crowd is loving it. He's from Sherwood, Michigan. This racetrack is in Buchanan, Michigan, just a few miles away. And there's Bradshaw. Bradshaw coming right back to regain the #1 position. I'm telling you, this crowd is just cheering Jeff Stanton on. They want to see the hometown boy or the local state favorite do well here in Buchanan. And Stanton not giving up. Stanton is not giving away an inch as Bradshaw regained the #1 position just a couple of corners after losing it. And Stanton got a good line on the outside, but not quite enough room. Bradshaw holds on to the lead. They rock it out of the corner, and it's still Bradshaw. That big fall-away jump. Look at this, 70, 80 feet in the air. That's how far they fly. Bradshaw comes off the top in the #1 position. Stanton right behind. This battle in Moto #1 is going right to the checkered flag. It is intense, unbelievable, great motocross action. Now lap riders are beginning to get in the way of both Stanton and Bradshaw. That could be a factor. Now, Bradshaw made a pass on a slower rider. Stanton was not able to make the pass. That's going to give just a little bit of breathing room to Bradshaw. Look at this. He picked up about maybe 10, 12 bike lengths in that exchange with the two slower riders. Stanton is coming right back. He just left it dialed on in a couple of the corners. Now he narrows the gap down to just about 2 bike lengths. Every eye in this place following the battle between these two riders in the #1 position. There are other good fights going on in this, the first of 2 motos in this 250 class, and Bradshaw goes down. Damon Bradshaw come off the top of that jump. It looked like the back end of the motorcycle kicked up on him, and he went down hard. Now here's the battle for the #3 and 4 position. It was 3 and 4. Now we're looking at a battle, unless Bradshaw gets up, for second place. And there's Bradshaw's motorcycle. He's crawled to the side of the racetrack. Here comes Matasevich, and he holds on to the number. No, there goes Kidrowski to the outside. Kidrowski will take over the #2 position. No, Matasevich comes right back, and it's Matasevich holding the advantage. He's in second spot with his teammate Kidrowski in third. They're side by side, almost taking each other out. Meanwhile, Damon Bradshaw still on the racetrack. Let's take another look at that incident. Now here they come. Bradshaw switching lines, going from the outside. He was in a portion of the racetrack he had not been riding in. The rear end kicked up, threw Bradshaw off the motorcycle, smashed him into the ground, and he has made absolutely no attempt to regain his seat atop the Yamaha. He's going to let this one go. He's not even going to finish the moto. There go his championship chances. It's going to be history from this point out. If anyone is going to catch Jeff Stanton, it will have to be someone else. Now there's Mike Kidrowski. He's inherited the #2 slot as Matasevich drops off the pace. Bradshaw won this event in 1991 in the 250 class. We go all the way back to 1989, and that's the only time that Jeff Stanton was the overall winner here at what has to be considered his home track. There's Stanton. He takes the win, and what a popular win it is. Look at him point at the camera. Says, you all know who is #1. Matasevich is going to take third. Mike Kidrowski crosses the line ahead of him. He'll take a second overall in this, the opening moto of the 250 class. There's Kidrowski. We'll be back with more right after this. Welcome back. Damon Bradshaw crashed in the opening moto of the 250 class. Carl Holman checks his condition.
I should ask first, is he okay?
Yeah, he appears to be okay. It's his left leg, and it's kind of the middle of his hamstring down to his knee is pretty bruised up at this time, but he is able to walk around, and I think as time goes on, it starts to feel a little bit better, so he should be okay.
Keith, you saw Damon go down. What happened?
Well, the best I can remember there, Carl, he was coming up the hill there, and he jumped off of a jump a little bit farther to the right of his normal line, and he landed in some pretty deep, soft ground, and it just stuck the front wheel, and I think that just pitched him right over the bars and slammed him into the ground.
That, of course, was in the 250 class. The crash you saw just prior to going to commercial. We're back now to action in the 125cc class. Jeff Emig won the opening moto, and he's right out front in moto number 2. Emig is red hot. Let's take a look, or recap, I should say, moto number 1 for you. Emig led from the get-go. Guy Cooper was up front along with Tyson Volan. Those two riders battling over second place. Mike LaRocco, the crowd favorite, was way back in the pack. He worked his way up, and prior to the checkered flag being thrown, LaRocco had gotten all the way up to third. Cooper had passed Volan. That's the way they ended in that moto. Volan dropping out of the top 5, went all the way back to 6th after riding second throughout most of the moto. So looking for points this go around, Emig, Cooper, LaRocco, Hughes, Swink, those were the top 5, and a pile-up, and that looks like Guy Cooper. If it was, that will just about put the seal on Cooper's attempt to regain for the second time in his career the championship in this 125 class. He was suffering, or he was at a huge points deficit coming into today's round, and boy, that's going to pound him back even further. Meanwhile, Jeff Emig is going the other way in the standings. He started out slow the first couple 3 rounds, but he has come on strong the last couple rounds. Ezra Lusk, number 117, comes out of Bainbridge, Georgia. He has moved to the number 2 position. Let's point that out quickly. But Jeff Emig, who finished second overall at Hangtown a week ago, on his way to outstanding finishes here, barring unforeseen incidents, at Red Bud, round 5 of the series. Still to be heard from, of course, in this moto is Mike LaRocco, and LaRocco is not that far off the pace. Not when you consider how far back he was in moto number 2. Had a glimpse of a couple of green motorcycles. That was Ryan Hughes and Mike LaRocco. We'll catch them when they come through this time. Here's your leader, Jeff Emig. Now let's take a look at the gap between Emig and the rider in second. There he is. That's Ezra Lusk, rider number 117. Third, rider number 68, Ryan Hughes, and right on his rear wheel is Mike LaRocco. Comes out of the South Bend area, not too far away, so you can bet that he has a tremendous amount of support as we watch the rest of the 125 field. A tremendous amount of support. And look at here. Here's Guy Cooper. He is way in the back of the pack. In fact, there are only 4 or 5 riders behind Cooper, so he has a tremendous amount of ground to make up if he wants to be a factor or gain respectable points in this, the second moto in the 125 class. Boy, we just started to talk about LaRocco being the crowd favorite when Cooper flashed into view, and it reminds us, of course, that Cooper, no matter where you go in the United States, is one of the favorites regardless of the track. But today, he takes a back seat, not only in this race, but to Mike LaRocco, who has moved, incidentally, to the number 3 position. He's now in third. That's LaRocco there to the left of the screen, just going off the screen, rider number 7, and right behind him is Ryan Hughes. Third place at this juncture belongs to rider number 16 aboard a Suzuki. That's Steve Lamson. Storybook ride on the part of Lamson. Broke his leg in the early part of February at a Supercross. He was expected to be out for the season. He broke the femur. That's the big bone up in the thigh. And they expected that we would not see him again in 1992. Whoa, look at that jump that was just uncorked by Mike LaRocco. Earlier today, we'll get back to the Lamson story in a second, but earlier today, LaRocco discussed that long triple jump that he had a hand in building on this Red Bud track. And we wondered at the time, as did several riders, if that triple jump would be a factor in the 125 competition. LaRocco has just set up this move that he just made to take over second place by completing that triple jump. It gave him some kind of elevation and certainly an advantage as he landed beside Ezra Lusk. And Lusk had to be wondering, where did he come from? How did he gain that kind of ground on that uphill jump? Well, next time he'll have an opportunity to see, as they complete another circuit, just how LaRocco did it, because he's going to be behind him. So now it's Emig, LaRocco, Lusk, Brian Swink has moved into 4th, dropping Hughes back to 5th. Now, I started to mention the Steve Lamson story, how he had broken his leg at a Supercross and how he came back much earlier than the doctors and experts anticipated. He not only came back, but at Hangtown, round number 4, or let me correct that, round number 4 of the series, he actually won his first ever moto, did that in the opening moto of the day, then came back and won the overall event by finishing 3rd in the second moto. So a storybook finish for Lamson, and he had a lot of fans there. That was kind of his hometown track. Now LaRocco would like to put together for the fans here at Red Bud a similar performance, sans, of course, the broken leg. He would like to win. This is his hometown track in that 125 class. All the way back into 3rd now, and he has dropped considerably off the pace. That's Ezra Lusk, rider number 117, and Brian Swink up to 4th, and we had a quick glimpse of Ryan Hughes, who has now moved into the number 5 position. Now here's the battle for the number 1 position. It's still Emig out front, and Mike LaRocco starting to close on Emig. LaRocco had to come from out of the pack in the opening moto, never really had a crack at the leaders. You had to wonder if he had gotten a better start, if the moto might have turned out differently. Well, this could virtually be called the same situation, so we'll use our imagination. Emig is out front being chased by Mike LaRocco. Emig from Highland, California. He rides a Yamaha, 4-team Yamaha. And here's the man in 2nd place, Mike LaRocco, comes out of Indiana, and he rides, of course, for Team Kawasaki. Here's 3rd place, Ezra Lusk, rider number 117, Bainbridge, Georgia. If you want to make a future bet and say one day this rider or that rider or another rider might be a national champion, Ezra Lusk would be a good rider to bet on. The young man in his first year as a pro has certainly made his presence felt on the national championship circuit. Now LaRocco closing the gap on Jeff Emig. Look at this. We're down to about 5 bike lengths separating the two. LaRocco has methodically, lap after lap, picked up a bike length here, a bike length there, a second here. And look at this now. Let's make it less than a bike length as LaRocco pulls alongside Jeff Emig, and LaRocco makes the pass. LaRocco takes over the number 1 position, and I must say he did it rather handily. Now, Emig knows that LaRocco finished in the number 3 position in the first moto. So if Emig is able to hold down that number 2 slot, Emig is going to get the national championship win here. He will take overall honors. He knows all of that. Let's go back and take another look at the pass. I think you'll see Emig really is not... Oh, Emig missed a gear. There it is. Emig was just stomping up and down on that gear lever. That's the reason that LaRocco was able to make the pass so easily. I was almost prepared to say Emig was letting him go, but he missed a gear. LaRocco takes the checkered flag and the win, but that's only going to get him 2nd overall for the day. Jeff Emig, when he crosses the line in 2nd place, will take overall honors. Ezra Lusk, a fine ride to finish 3rd. Swink 4th. Ryan Hughes 5th. And coming up, 250cc action as we will have that second moto. We'll find out if Bradshaw is able to ride. We'll be right back. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, we're in southwestern Michigan for National Championship Motocross as sanctioned by the American Motorcyclist Association. It's round 5 of the 250 and 125 National Championship Series. We have completed action in 2 motos in the 125 class, and one of the motos has already flashed by in the 250 class. On the line, the riders in the 250 class as we prepare for moto number 2. As this one is about set to get underway, word from the pits is Damon Bradshaw will not compete in the second moto. You recall that Bradshaw crashed hard toward the end of the opening moto. He was the only rider really in contention to chase Stanton for the title, and Bradshaw apparently going to drop out of it now. So that leaves things wide open for Jeff Stanton to claim his 3rd 256cc crown. Now let me point out, it is not 100% in the bag. With 3 motos to go, this one here in Buchanan, then 2 more in the season finale, Stanton has a 48-point lead over Mike Kiedrowski. And here they are now. They're battling for 3rd place. Kiedrowski is rider number 3. Stanton rider number 2. Kiedrowski is in 3rd. Stanton is in 4th. Now, if Kiedrowski were to win all 3 of the remaining motos and Stanton did not finish any of the 3, then Kiedrowski could, or would be rather, named the national champ in the 250 class. Of course, all of that is unlikely, but it does leave some speculation right up until the checkered flag in this one. Larry Brooks, a privateer, rider number 30, took the whole shot, and Brooks is out front, leading Jeff Ward, rider number 6. For many years, Brooks from El Cajon, California, has been one of the top privateers on the circuit, just an inch or so away, it seems, almost at the end of every season, from getting that very, very elusive factory ride. Each year he comes back and plugs away at it. Time is running out on the career of this young man, but he has been just a fantastic rider throughout his career, a very delightful young man, and certainly a credit to motocross, a definite asset when we start talking about who does what for the sport and who is a goodwill ambassador and who is not. Larry Brooks is always well up on top. Speaks highly of the sport for himself and, of course, for his sponsors. Now, Mike Kiedrowski has moved to the number 2 position, is dropping Jeff Ward, back to 3rd. Jeff Stanton still holding 4th. It's still Brooks out front, and there in the center of your screen, just disappearing Kiedrowski. And now Stanton trying to make the pass on Jeff Ward to move into the number 3 position, and he did it. So Jeff Stanton takes over 3rd, sets his sights on Kiedrowski to win that championship. Stanton needs to beat Kiedrowski. If he could do it out here today, Stanton could clinch the title with 1 round to go. He could walk away and never ride another moto the rest of the year in this 250 class, and he would still be the national champ. Now Kiedrowski is bearing down on the privateer Larry Brooks. Brooks is a tough rider. He has held Jeff Ward off through the opening laps of this one and now holding off the likes of Mike Kiedrowski. So the privateers getting the job done, fending off the charge of the factory riders. And if you are a privateer, if you are an amateur racer, which a good share of this crowd here at Red Bud would fall into that category, then you got to love what has been going on. Kiedrowski finally makes the break as Ward went wide in a corner. Kiedrowski was able to slide underneath to take over the number 1 position. Now Jeff Stanton, seeing that happen, probably has figured out, and oh, Stanton goes off. Jeff Stanton all by himself just nosedived into that corner, or into that jump rather, hit the face of it with his front wheel, and Stanton hit the ground. Fortunately, when he went over the bars, he was able to jump up off the top of the motorcycle, did not get tangled up with a bike. That could have been disastrous. Just a few corners ago, we were talking about all of the what-ifs in this championship season. And, of course, the one thing that we did not talk about was Stanton having some kind of a problem. Let's look at it again. Now, watch Jeff Stanton. It looks like maybe he was in the wrong gear. He come up off the top of that jump, nosedive into the second part of it, into the face of that small portion of the double jump, went over the handlebars. He was able to get his feet clear of the bike, and that saved him from possible serious injuries. So you think you've examined every portion of what can happen in a championship chase, every minute particle, and then something like that occurs. It happened to Bradshaw in the opening moto. It happened to Stanton in the second moto. The only difference being Stanton was able to pick himself up, get back on the motorcycle, and continued, whereas Bradshaw was not. So therein lies the difference in a championship break. It is good to be good. You have to be good. There's no question about that. But you have to carry just a little bit of luck with you when it comes to winning championships. Mike Kiedrowski holding the number 1 position. Larry Brooks running in second. Third place, the veteran Jeff Ward. Fourth now is Doug Dubach, rider number 12. He's from Team Yamaha. Then comes Jeff Matasevich in 5th. And running in the number 6 position, all the way back to 6th, is Jeff Stanton. He is the championship points leader by some 48 points coming into this, the second moto at Red Bud. Now, if he can catch up to the leaders again, if he can go by Kiedrowski, he could sew up the championship out here today. I think right now he is happy to be riding it on 2 wheels, and he wants to salvage whatever he can. Larry Brooks holding off the charge of Jeff Ward. and Jeff Ward not able to get the job done through those corners, but Ward not giving up. He cuts to the inside, now switches lines again, goes to the outside. Brooks is doing a masterful job, an unbelievable job, just taking the lines away from Larry Ward. Look at this, or Jeff Ward, rather. Ward was going to try a block pass there and didn't quite get close enough, and Brooks continues to hold off the charge of the factory rider. His final season of competition, Jeff Ward, rider number 6. He would love to go out of this Red Bud facility with some kind of grace and poise. He has won here 3 times. He did it in the 125 class, the 250 class, and 500 class. No other rider has ever done that here at Red Bud. Ward, after 7 national championships, rounding out an illustrious career, one of the sport's great ambassadors. He'll be missed. Look at Kedrowski nail that triple jumps. 250s have been doing that all day long. You remember in the 125 class, it was only in the late going when Mike LaRocco uncorked one, and it led to LaRocco moving up and actually taking the win in the second moto. Mike Kedrowski picking him up, laying him down. Kedrowski will be in line for the overall win. Now, Kedrowski has plenty of 125 wins to his credit, but not a 250. Here's Ward around the outside of Brooks. Let's see if he gets the job done this time. He's going to be in good position. No, and Brooks took the line away from him. He was in good position to make the pass, but he backed off as Brooks just kept it dialed on, and Brooks holds on to the number 2 position. Ward, I think, is maybe feeling the fact that, hey, with just a few races to go, after 25 years of racing motorcycles, do I really need to take one more chance, let it hang out one more time and risk a crash? And I think Ward thinks about those things, and he says, I think not. I think we'll go ahead and let him go. We'll try again a little bit later in the race. If I grab him, great. If I don't, well, and there he did. See, Brooks came up just a hair short, whereas Ward had a good line through that double jump. He made the pass to take over the number 2 position. Brooks has to be thinking under that full-face helmet. Whoo, he says, boy, it was a tough go. Well, I'll just sit here and collect third. Well, if he turns around and takes a look at what's going to fill up that goggles that he's wearing under that helmet, he's going to see a big number plate that says number 2. That, of course, is Jeff Stanton. So he's out of the frying pan right into the fire. He gets hardly a breather at all when all of a sudden Stanton pounded on his rear wheel. No let up at all. Well, that's the way it is when you run up front. That's the difference between the best in the business and those that are just oh so close. Now Larry Brooks has to be tired from that battle with Ward. He's going to, no, he takes the line away from Stanton. He rebounds. I thought he was going to hand that position to Stanton, but Brooks is not about to give up. You've got to admire that young man. Mike Kedrowski holding down the number 1 position. Look at Kedrowski. Back in second, it's Jeff Ward, rather. Larry Brooks is running third. 4th place, the property of Jeff Stanton. Well, let's correct that call as the riders come back into view. Here's the battle for the number 2 position. Stanton has gotten around Larry Brooks, and now he takes the measure of Larry Ward. So Stanton is back up to 2nd place. Again, he finds himself chasing Mike Kedrowski. Last time he did that, Stanton on the low portion of the racetrack went on his head, and he almost called it a season, but Kedrowski takes the win. He'll take the overall for the day, his first ever in the 250 class. And earlier talking with Kedrowski, remember he made mention of that fact that you got to get that first one out of the way, then hopefully they'll come in droves. Here's Jeff Stanton. Actually, the 2 riders will tie in points for the day, but the overall win will go to Kedrowski by virtue of the fact that he performed best in moto number 2. Here's the way they finished in the 125cc overall standings. Jeff Emig, he's on the left of your screen, can't get a champagne open. LaRocco finished 2nd overall, then Lusk, Swink, and Hughes. Emig finally gets the job done. There's Kedrowski dumping champagne on the crowd. He won the 250cc class overall. Jeff Stanton finished 2nd. Then came Jeff Ward, Doug Dubach, and Jeff Matasevich in